In this week's Parshat Tetzaveh, holy oil lamps whose light must burn each day from evening till morning, giving light to the tabernacle area, are commanded. From this we learn that burning the oil of Torah study brings God's light to the earth. Then we have details of the priestly vestments. Ephod, multicolored with fine twisted linen worked into designs, onto which was attached the choshen, the breastplate, with 4 rows of semi-precious and precious stones, and its mystical urim vetumim we know very little about. It was the decision maker, where the high priest looked down and somehow answered questions he couldn't answer, but God helped him. Stones also were placed on the high priest's shoulders, 2, one on each shoulder, to remind him, 1, of his sacred obligations, 2, the covenant he and the people of Israel have with God. Golden bells, pomegranates of crimson yard, tzitz, and patil techelet. Think Shema, tzitzit, patil techelet, the thread of blue. A lot of linen, many colored yarns, gold, precious stones, and instructions for their use, and that's only the first half of the Parsha. Tetzaveh, whose second half deals with the investiture of the priests and that service involving, animal sacrifice, etc. What caught my mind with the Parsha is the clothing. I like clothes. The loose breeches, the tunics, breastplates, and such are commanded to the high priest and to the priests lekatsho, to sanctify and to dignify the high priest, to make him kahen to God as he serves God. They are so Middle Eastern, these clothing. Of course, so are we. The Jewish people are from the Middle East, so is our culture. Many vestiges of this mode of dress have been carried on by, of course, the people who still live in the Middle East and are Jewish, but especially the Hasidic sects. Research the origin of Hasidic dress, and you find that the 16th century Polish nobility, after whom we say that dress is patterned, although some people disagree, they patterned their dress after the Turks, who were the hot thing in Europe back in the 16th century. They brought coffee, they brought dress, they brought spices, all sorts of stuff. The 19th century Hasidim dressed quite Levantine, very, very Middle Eastern, and their basic outfit still copies much of the usage of the Turks that had been brought quite early. Non-Hasidic Ashkenazim, the Misnagdim, most of us, and others, and Sephardim of the mainland of Greece and other places, adapted to European dress, of course, and we have blended with the general population quite well, despite the obvious reminders throughout the centuries that they do not consider us the same at all. Sephardim in the Levantine, that means the Turkish sort of ruled areas, dressed very much like their brethren, the Turkish ruling peoples, but with distinctions made to make them look Jewish. They would have hats, of course, always turbans of some sort, head covering, instead of kippot, let's say. Many of their tunics had stripes down, and I saw this in Rhodes at the museum, imitating the talit. Greek Jews on the mainland, of course, dressed, as I told you, generally dressed European. All this, so why do we dress like Turks and why do they dress like Poles? And cross-ethnic and cultural borrowing has always applied, not only to our people, to everyone, but especially to our people who over the centuries have lived in every land in the world. In this same way, my subject, Jewish music, constantly travels a stream of cultural borrowing. In our use of nusach, which are the modes of our prayers, as a means of reaching toward the music of what, or recreating to some measure, the music that was done in the temple of old in Jerusalem, the Bet HaMikdash, we find a surprising parallel in the music of whom? The Catholic Church. Gregorian chant was an attempt to stem the flow of secularism and keep church music as pure as possible, reaching back toward its origins in the Temple of Jerusalem. The million-dollar question is, how much assimilation is good for us? And how much is too much? And how about circling the wagons by doing as the Hasidim do? They wear rekels and seidene kapotes and for holidays, and halbenhuisen, and what has been known as the Jewish kaftan. Since the 15th century it's been called that, by the way. Before the Hasidim, the Jews had this thing that they called the Jewish kaftan, and now it's called by the Hasidim shtreimel, and they each wear a different one to make sure that they know which sect they belong to. I don't know. I'm not sure what the answer is. My best guess is that Judaism has been so diverse since the destruction of the temple and our consequent diaspora that we will continue to be defined by the tension between conflicting traditions. May we find the tolerance needed to stay a united people. Shabbat Shalom.